wondering, when you're facing a guy that was on your staff for the last 4 years, what's the level, like a strategic level, you know, the familiarity that you both have with each other? Does that affect kind of game planning or anything, or do you try to change things up? And also just on a personal level, to see, you know, I guess it shows some success, obviously, of your program, to now find a guy, I'm sure you're proud of him, to be a head coach now.
Yeah, on a personal level, I don't think the game has anything to do with that, and neither Dan nor I will be worried about each other during the game. It's not about that. He's fighting to do the best job he can for his organization and his players, and I'm doing the same here. We have mutual respect for each other, always will, always have. Just, you know, that's what competition's about. You know, you love to go compete, and it's about our players getting a chance to compete against their players. As far as the familiarities of the two systems, you know, there probably is a little overlap there in terms of, you know, defense, and you know, they're watching our defense and we watch our defense to get ready for them. But they've got coaches on their staff from other places. We've gone out and looked at the history of their other defensive coaches for ideas and things they've done at other places. And at the end of the day, it's about how you execute. It's not about X's and O's. It's about who's got the best players and do the best players play the best in the biggest moments.
Yeah, Kirby, Cedric was talking about Michael Williams, and he's getting more comfortable learning from his older guys and everything. I guess, one, how much have you seen him learning from those guys, and two, how far has he come, you know, in this fall camp since he's been?
He's continued to grow. You know, I think since he got here, he's been a non-traditional freshman. He's never been really impacted by accolades, hype, even intimidation by being here in terms of drills and knowing what to do. He's fit in really naturally. I think, you know, being from where he's from, Columbus, he got up here to so many practices. It was just a very steady climb, and he's continued to climb. He's not had, you know, ups and downs and lack of efforts and tired and not understanding. He takes really good care of his body. He's very intelligent. He learns the system well, and he plays really hard. And those are attributes that help true freshmen get on the field.
Yeah, Kirby, just wondering about an injury update on guys like Andrew Paul, Tyke Smith, Karis Jackson, Tate Ratledge, Ernest Green, and Denylon Morissette.
Yeah, I don't know if I can hit all those. Andrew obviously had a tough situation in scrimmage towards ACL, which all you guys know. He'll be undergoing surgery, I think tomorrow or the next day, to repair his ACL. Tate's been back practicing, doing a great job. Karis been back practicing ever since the scrimmage. Denylon's been back practicing ever since the second scrimmage. You have to remind me anybody else.
Tyke Smith.
Tyke's practiced all camp, so he's continued to practice.
Kirby, can you kind of talk about the competition at the nickel position as well as contour at the time? You guys,
Yeah, our guys are Brett and Noah, and our guys are Tyke and Bullard at the star, along with Poole. So all those guys are doing a great job. Probably play all those guys at punter. You know, we'll make a decision closer to the game, but Brett's probably the leader in terms of punting. But really pleased with the work of all those guys, and expect them to, you know, we say you're a starter here when you start on special teams, so all those guys will have a starting role.
Kirby, considering all the different moving parts on the defensive line, I mean, you're going to be facing a team that may have the most experienced offensive line you got to face this year. What about that challenge come Saturday?
Yeah, I think that we face a really good offensive line day in and day out, and a very experienced one in our own, and that provides a lot of good competition. You know, I think they've got more returning starters, returning snaps than almost anybody in the country on their offensive line. So it certainly is a strength in terms of even what Mario's history is of recruiting offensive linemen. Did a tremendous job putting together depth at that position. So it'll be key that we play well, we play physical. You have to control the line of scrimmage and strike people to be a good football team. They know that. Dan knows that. There's nothing hidden about that. So our defensive line's got to stop the run and be able to control the quarterback, which, depending on which quarterback it is, you know, you got some really good athletes back there.
Hey, Coach. Cedric called Zion Logue one of the best leaders on this defense. Can you speak a little bit to what you've seen out of him this offseason, taking on a leadership role?
Consistency. I mean, Zion's a guy that's been a kind of a product of our environment, culture, I might say. I mean, he's seen leaders before him. He certainly had a long way to go when he got here. He never shied away from work. He's been very consistent in his work. He's worked really hard to earn the opportunity he's gotten. I think he'd be the first to tell you there's things he can do better. He's not the guys that we played with last year, but he's a great leader. And he makes up for what he may or may not have in complete talent with effort, toughness, all the things we think are quality leadership things, and he continues to do that.
How important is it for you guys to have success with your tight ends in this game, especially given the talent that Oregon has at that inside linebacker room?
I don't know the relative question to the what does the tight end success have to do with their inside linebackers?
Well, just the matchup there between the two, and how important is it for your tight ends to win that respective matchup?
Again, I don't know how much they'll be matched up on those guys. You know, those guys are inside, and the tight ends are outside. So I don't usually look at it as a matchup between tight ends and inside backers. It could be a matchup where one of them's blocking one of them, one of them might be covering them, but it might be a DB too. Are they going to play nickel? Are they going to play regular? Those are all questions that are going to be answered the day of the game. But they have a tremendously talented inside linebacker room. I mean, both two kids we recruited here and tried to get here. And we had some pretty good inside linebackers when they decided to come, and we felt strongly enough they were good enough to come here and play. So they're talented. Our tight ends are really good football players. They're conscientious. They work hard. We need them to be successful regardless of who we play because they're good players, and good players got to play well. But I think it'd be misleading to think that there's like this kind of like matchup where it's this guy against this guy, because I don't foresee that.
Kirby, can you give us an update on the offensive guards? You said Tate Ratledge was back. Can you kind of let us know where that stands, and have you picked your starting five on the offensive?
No, I don't think we'll know till this week gets up. I mean, you're coming off a day where we didn't do anything, and they practiced Friday and Saturday with all of them sharing time with the ones. I mean, that's not going to change all year. I know you guys want to make it, and that's all you want to know is who's going to start. But there's a group of guys there between Devin, Jared, Tate, and Trust that all roll through there. Micah gets reps, Dylan gets reps, Warren Erickson's reps on the guard. So it's not a matter of, okay, it's going to be these two guys. It's going to be the guys that play the best and who practice the best. And right now we haven't made the decision of who's going to take the first snap so that everybody can talk about who took the first snap. We're going to look at it and say, okay, who's playing the best in the game and gives us the best opportunity.
Kirby, I've got a non-starter question, I guess. Captains, how do you guys decide the captains? I know last year you had like 18 different game captains. I think only 4 of them are back. And then as far as the leadership council, has that been a consistent in terms of the process, or have you done anything different with either of those two areas?
No, we pick game captains by week, and it usually has to do with who we think can infect the team or who maybe that week has to have the best leadership role. I mean, we played South Carolina, and Channing Tindall was a captain because he's from South Carolina, and it would mean more to him, and being from that state. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. It usually has something to do with who do the coaching staff, strength staff, player development staff think will impact that game the most. But everybody's a leader every game, right? You got a right to say whatever you feel like saying. So it usually comes from the first game, off-season workouts and camp, kind of who had the camp and who was the guy that everybody could count on to be there on that day that's 100 degrees and you're practicing for the 15th time. So we don't base it on a whole lot early. We base it on the fact that you're a good leader and everybody has an opportunity to lead. So that's usually, I don't remember the second part of the question.
The leadership council.
Yeah, the leadership council really was, we've done it every year we've been here, but we didn't do it since the Cincinnati game. It's been more of our skull sessions have been the emphasis and spending time with each other and kind of all sharing in that responsibility and not making it like it's an isolated group. I still allow leaders to make some decisions, and we have guys that we kind of consider that, but it's not a designated leadership council.
2 more questions?
You've said before you like playing in this game, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. Can you just talk about why that is? And do you even have an opportunity with the craziness going on in college football reconfiguration to visit whether you want to get Oregon on a future schedule and maybe go out there to Autzen Stadium?
Yeah, I love playing in this game because number one, it's in Atlanta. Number two, I like playing in it because I think they do a tremendous job. It's an unbelievable venue. Your hope is you're back in the stadium and you've gotten a chance to play in it once already. when it comes to the SEC championship game. So that has a lot to do with it. But just in general, I think playing a big time opponent opening, whether that's home to home, whether that's neutral sites, that I just think it fires up your fan base. It fires up your all-season workouts. And some people do it, the second game of the year. To me, it's a great opportunity to go out and schedule opponents that get your fan base and your team excited to play. So that's, we scheduled this one a while back. We knew the kind of team that Oregon was going to have, and we expect to have that same kind of team, so it makes for a great matchup.
The more special teams questions, Coach. As far as consistency, you're seeing the kicker right now, just kind of what you've seen from there. And also with Andrew Paul's injury, does that at all give you pause maybe to use Kenny as much the kickoff returner?
Not really. We've kind of had our kickoff return guys lined up as far as who we think are going to do it all along. So it hasn't included Kenny because Kenny was one of the primary backs where last year he was sharing that load. But he's still a kickoff return weapon and a guy that we can use when we need to. But the kicking has been, Pod's done a great job. Pod's been very consistent in terms of he comes to work every day. He has a routine he believes in. He and Zerk are battling for the kickoff spot. He'll probably be the field goal guy, barring anything happening between now and then. But very pleased with Pod's focus and his consistency. Really, all the specialists, they have a unique group and they kind of work on a different schedule than us a lot of times. And very pleased with where they are.
Thank you.